Hey, Maud, we're coming. What a wonderful day.
Yes.
Well, the old place looks as good as ever.
Oh, it does.
Look at the people here to welcome us.
Oh my goodness.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is always a very, very, very special moment here.
How are you doing? Good to see you, Mr. Well, Maud.
Wonderful, wonderful, Jack. Wonderful to be
Wonderful.
back. Oh, just
Well,
wonderful.
come on up. Over here, we have the two sons of Lucy Maud Montgomery. I've forgotten which one is which, but one of them is Chester and the other is Stuart. The 15th anniversary, would you believe, of this crazy little museum here.
40 years have flown.
Yep. July 24th, 1992, that was the day we opened, and some of you people here were actually here on that day as well.
Well, 17 years ago we married, and Jack asked me where I'd like to honeymoon, and it just came out of my mouth. It had to be Prince Edward Island. And I think Jack was quite hurt that it might not be Paris, because he'd been brushing up on his French, his conversational French. So we went to honeymoon in Prince Edward Island. I got my way. And the first night we were there, I found an old battered up copy of Anne of Green Gables. And I took him down to a lobster pier at Victoria Harbor, and I started to read him Anne of Green Gables. Jack couldn't stand it. Soon he took the book from me. He said, "Let me read that book." And that was Jack's baptism into Anne of Green Gables. I wish I could call you Luck.
Yeah, we were there 10 days, and I arrived on the island saying, let's not look at those places for a while, let's do something else. By the time he left, I was totally hooked.
At the end of our honeymoon, we returned to Bala, and the pieces started to fall into place. We actually visited our little library, and our librarian said, "Oh, how was your honeymoon? I have a letter here that you might be interested in." And it was from Professor Mary Rubio, the official biographer of Maud's. Mary was asking, where did Lucy Maud Montgomery stay in Bala in 1922? And everyone laughed because we knew that that famous author had never come to Bala. We all knew that. It was common knowledge that she hadn't come. So I guess you picked up the phone about then, didn't you, Jack? I'll let you talk now.
Well, I phoned Mary Rubio, and she said, well, I already know. I've looked in the diaries, and I realized she stayed at a place called Roseland Lodge, which is down here.
Sort of kitty corner across the street from us, actually.
And they weren't serving meals for some reason that summer, so she came 3 times a day with her family to a tourist home run by a Mrs. Pike. So I called Roseland, and they said, of course, that's the house has been for sale for 6 years, no one wants, and which they're talking about tearing down. And to my amazement, I heard my bride say, stop. And I said, what? She said, they can't tear it down. I said, why not? She said, this is the last link with Lucy Maud Montgomery in
that part of
Muskoka.
Roseland has actually burnt down, so.
So, being a groom, I went along with it. We bought the house. Linda took the wreck, spent a whole year restoring it.
So I worked here every day, painting, wallpapering, reputting windows, and finding antique windows and doors because many of the doors and windows were missing in the house.
Amazingly, no government money, no subsidies, just 2 crazy people who decided to keep a house from being torn down. The response has been astounding from around the world. We've had more than 85,000 people from more than 35 different countries. We had Turks and Caicos last week, wasn't it?
Yes, that's another country, so you better say 36 now.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd like Anne to be a friend of yours?
Yes. My name is Natalie.
Tell folks your name and where you come from.
My name is Sylvia, and I'm from Veijalainen.
So tell me about the basket you've got.
I'm going to have to really get down this time. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I think you're seeing a record. I think this is the youngest contestant we have ever had in the history of the whole competition. This is
The family of Lucy Maud Montgomery decided this crazy couple up in Bala, maybe they seem to be legitimate. And so one of the grandsons walked in with Maud's silver tea set before we opened and said, "This is where this belongs." They kept bringing us things. It was just so wonderful the way they virtually adopted us. And we met Luella. She is almost like a character from one of Maud's novels. She's a very strong person, I sense. I love her sense of humor.
It's a little off the wall.
I love the way she is her own person.
Mm-hmm.
I love the love that she has for her family and the pride she has in her family. And I love some of the little glimpses that she gives you of Maud, that she is the only grandchild to have known Maud.
I called my grandmother Donnie, because she told, well, I realized later that she told me to call her that, and I couldn't figure out why, but it's later on I realized she didn't want to think she's a grandmother. So she said, "Call me Donnie." And it was only a few years ago I twigged, oh, MacDonald. So Donnie is a diminutive, just call me Donnie. So I thought that's how I get the idea of, Eric would call me Lala.
Because I don't really want to call her grandma or else she'll think that she's old. So I like to call her Lala. Plus I'm so used to calling her that.
Because when kids were younger, they couldn't pronounce Luella, so I used to babysit kids and they called me Lala. I thought, call me Lala.
And every time I ask her about it, she says, she says, an old lady with shaky hands.
But she would have been very small.
Yes, but she does have a memory of Lucy Maud Montgomery. And Lucy Maud Montgomery held her as a small child. We see the pictures.
My grandmother didn't think my mother was good enough to marry my father. And then, but later on in reading the journals, she really, really got to like my mother. And later on, when everything split apart, obviously she favored my mother. See, so things changed.
Luella, how many times have you been here now?
Oh, you expect me to remember?
So she makes a special point of coming to
And,
Muskoka for a holiday
and
and
then
then
Luella's become a
visiting us.
beloved figure in our crazy family here. And now Eric, her grandson, is we love Eric. He's been here, and Karen.
One of the reasons I'm proud to be standing beside somebody who I think we're friends now after all these years. Eh? Say yes, Eric. You got to say yes. Eric is a great, great grandson of Lucy Maud Montgomery. So tell me, what did you think of our contestants here? Do they look pretty good?
Yes.
Would you have a hard time making a choice?
Yes.
So what about a big hand for Eric?
We loved the writer so much that her descendants are our way of kind of sort of touching them a little bit. It's almost like having royalty. It's a sort of Canadian royalty.
She's my granddaughter. My great-great-grandson.
Has anybody got an idea who you think the winner is yet? I don't.
Amanda's beautifully dressed as the orphan, coming to stay in Green Gables, and she has a little wasp there. It's gone. There was a little wasp on her dress, but it's gone. Cassidy represents Anne as a teacher, Anne grown up. Cassidy is very, very knowledgeable. Natalie was one of the few little girls who actually said, Anne is only an actress. She's not a real person. She shattered us because we thought Anne was real. Isn't she just gorgeous? And she has a wonderful red hair. And the next we have Allie, who is very, very well informed. We think she may have been coached a little by her sister.
I had a little 8-year-old girl in our museum last summer who's very, very into Anne of Green Gables. And that was the year she discovered that Anne was fiction. And for her, it was like saying that Santa Claus might not exist. And she was bereft. She wept and she wept and she wept. And her grandmother had to say, well, now we'll concentrate on the wonderful lady that wrote Anne of Green Gables, because she really did live and Anne was part of her imagination. So that was the grandmother's way of smoothing things over, because to that little girl, Anne lived.
Well, you know, when I'm dying for my girls to read the book, and Allie was only 3 and Amanda was 6, and they were reading the book with me, and this one was popping around, not listening at all, and I thought, well, she's staying anyway, she's going to listen to this wonderful piece of literature. And when Matthew died, her little 3-year-old face looked at me and burst into tears and cried so hard, and that little girl had been listening to every word of that book.
I think one of the things that surprises me is that Ewan was such a difficult man to live with, but Maud had an imagination just the way she portrayed Anne, and she could escape into that imagination and just block out all the badness, the sadness, all the difficult things of her life, and just live that.
My grandmother probably shouldn't have married anybody. No, but you were expected to get married and do whatever women did, you know. She was going to university, teaching and whatever. She could have been, but you were expected to get married and not have a career back in those days. I think that's what it is.
And I really feel if she had married a man who was mentally balanced, without problems of headaches and things like that, she might have done, during her marriage, 5 books. But because she was married to Ewan, she did 22 books, all in slightly over 30-odd years. 22 books. And that, to me, just means she had to pour her life into her writing to escape that life with Ewan.
People keep saying, you know, you must have spent about $100 grand on this, doing the whole. We say, well, probably more. Are you ever going to make the money back? No.
No.
Do you make money from it? No.
No. We keep our head above water.
What are you doing it for? And it's virtually our legacy to Bala.
It's our legacy and our love of Maud. Mm-hmm.
So they've been to the other museums. They can't figure this one out. You know, what these two people
We
here.
are a little bit different.
Mhm.
Megan is our big winner. Megan is only 6 years old. She could answer all our questions. She's dressed just beautifully, and she had some very smart little answers for us.
Do you want to come up?
You have beautiful smiles. Anne of Green Gables never change. I like you just this way. Anne of Green Gables, so sweet and strange. Stay as you are today. Though blossoms fade and friends must part, old grow the songs we've sung. Anne of Green Gables, in my heart, you are forever young. Young as the springtime and fresh as the rain. You're light as the laughter that gives me hope again. Though blossoms fade and friends must part, old grow the songs we've sung. Anne of Green Gables, in my heart, you are forever young. Ain't they the prettiest Annes you ever did see?